Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. It's June 17, 2020. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday evening, so let's begin. First up, family of Rochelle Brooks holds a news conference, and we can tell you that is just wrapping up, but if you want to see it after the live stream of that, we will share it with you. You can watch it on ABC News Live Facebook page. Again, they spoke and it just wrapped up. COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know information. Let's take a look at that right now. And here is a look at that information for all of you right now. There are 5,364 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 2,132,171 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 326 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 521 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 116,788 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. Let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire right here where current cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 218. And let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where total cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 1418. And now let's take a look at these three charts here. Let's start with the first chart here. New cases each day in New Hampshire in the purple. Daily new positive COVID-19 cases in the orange. New hospitalizations, and in the red are the deaths. And let's take a look at this chart here. Current cases in the purple. Total current COVID-19 cases. And in the orange, current hospitalizations. And let's take a look at this chart here. Total cases in the purple. Total positive COVID-19 cases in the orange. Total hospitalizations in the red. Deaths in the blue recovered. And now let's take a look at this chart here. Age group of cases. Female and male of cases. And risk information. And let's take a look at this chart here. Infections. Hospitalizations. And deaths. And let's take a look at this chart here. Deaths, percent of New Hampshire population, race/ethnicity of cases, and hospitalizations. And a reminder, your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Live on News 9 at 5:30 p.m., Governor to answer viewer questions about COVID-19 response. That begins at 5:30 p.m. on WMUR News 9. Man taken into custody after nationwide search ordered held without bail. Doug Smith tells judge he wants to be able to see daughter. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Ray Brewer.
Your Honor, I'd like to apologize for violating the trust you gave me. Not only did I let you down, but I let down myself and family.
With that, Douglas Smith began his plea to be let loose on bail. The Croydon man was captured June 9th in West Charleston, Vermont, after evading arrest for months. Smith told the judge there's one main reason he wants bail.
I would love to meet my daughter. I'd love to hold her, feed her, and be the father that every daughter should have.
Smith's wife told the court their 2-month-old daughter has many health issues and she needs Smith's help, as the infant is scheduled for major surgery. But the Merrimack County attorney argued against Smith's release, noting Smith had been given bail before and failed to comply with conditions.
He did post cash cash money. He was on supervision with pretrial services. He did not comply with that supervision, and he was AWOL.
Also in the courtroom, the New Hampshire Attorney General's office, which has a pending case against Smith for voter fraud, but noted Smith has more charges against him in Sullivan County.
Charges are aggravated dwelling sexual assault, second-degree assault, and failure to register as a sex offender.
Smith also told the judge that he has mental health issues and a new heroin addiction, and that's why he wasn't thinking straight. But the judge said he couldn't think of any conditions that would ensure the public safety or that Smith wouldn't flee, and ordered him held. Reporting live in Manchester, Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this evening. And here's a look at that U.S. stock market for all of you for this evening. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the red and went down. Your Nasdaq closed in the green went up. S&P 500 closed in the red and went down. Gold closed in the red and went down. Oil closed in the red and went down. U.S. 10-year closed flat. USD closed in the green went up. And the AX closed in the red and it went down. Dow drops more than 100 points, snaps 3-day winning streak. Dow Jones Industrial Average and S&P 500 fell for the first time in 4 sessions on Wednesday as stocks that would benefit the most from the economy reopening struggled throughout the day. China takes wartime emergency measures to head off second COVID-19 wave. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Is very concerned about a potential second wave in the U.S. and tonight all eyes also on China. Now in what's being called a wartime emergency there, a new cluster, this time in Beijing. It started at a wholesale food market, and here's Ian Pannell tonight on what we know so far.
Tonight, authorities in China are calling it an extremely severe situation as a new cluster of coronavirus cases is identified in Beijing, prompting fears of a second wave. Leaders there are now raising their emergency level as more than 100 new cases have been reported in the past few days, many in the capital. This after a nearly 2-month victory over the virus. Authorities now reimposing restrictions on travellers in and out of Beijing. Residents told to lock down and avoid non-essential travel as schools and universities cancel plans to reopen and businesses are told to work remotely. Like the first outbreak, there are reports that these new cases are linked to an open-air food market. This one in Beijing, now the centre for dozens of new cases, has seen hundreds of thousands of visitors in the past 2 weeks alone. But there are still questions as health experts are saying that this particular strain is similar to the one identified in Europe and not the initial outbreak in Wuhan. The authorities in Beijing are taking this extremely seriously. The last thing anyone in China wants right now is another Wuhan-style outbreak. David?
That is for sure, Ian. Thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that is it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another broadcast. But I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and bye, everyone.